In the early months of 1999, a deceptive calm lay over the high mountain peaks of Kargil. Snow, deep and unforgiving, covered the landscape, forcing soldiers from both India and Pakistan to retreat from their highest posts along the Line of Control, or LOC. This was a long-standing practice, a seasonal truce dictated by the brutal Himalayan winter. But this year was different. Under the cover of heavy snow and biting winds, Pakistani forces and militants began a covert operation. They crossed the LOC into Indian territory. They climbed the strategic heights overlooking the vital Srinagar-Leh highway. They secretly established a chain of fortified posts, digging bunkers, stockpiling weapons on Indian soil. It was a silent, well-planned invasion. The primary target was National Highway 1, the lifeline connecting the Kashmir Valley to Ladakh. By controlling the peaks above it, the intruders could disrupt military convoys and cut off an entire region. The plan was audacious. It violated the trust established by the Lahore Declaration, a peace accord signed just months earlier. They sat at altitudes reaching up to 18,000 feet, where the air is thin and every movement is a struggle. With the reality of the invasion confirmed, the Indian government made a firm decision. India would not cross the line of control. The entire military operation would be confined to its own side of the line. This strategic restraint framed India's actions as defensive and helped win international support. The Indian Army immediately launched its counter-offensive, codenamed Operation Vijay. The objective was simple but immensely difficult: to find, fix and throw back the intruders from every peak they occupied. The initial phase involved gathering intelligence. Patrols were sent on dangerous reconnaissance missions to identify enemy positions, map supply routes, assess enemy strength on each fortified ridge. The early days were incredibly challenging for Indian soldiers. The enemy held the high ground. They sat in protected bunkers with clear lines of sight, directing accurate fire on any movement below. The battle for the Dras sector was a critical turning point in the war. Here, a series of fortified peaks directly overlooked the vital National Highway 1. The first major objective was the Tololing Peak. The battle for Tololing was one of the fiercest and most costly of the entire conflict. For nearly 3 weeks, Indian soldiers made repeated attempts to capture the heavily defended ridge. The slopes were treacherous, and the enemy held every advantage. The men of the 2nd Rajputana Rifles and other units launched daring attacks, often at night, climbing sheer rock faces to surprise the enemy. After intense close-quarters combat and significant sacrifice, Indian troops finally captured the Tololing Top on June 13. The victory at Tololing was a massive morale booster for the Indian forces and the nation. It was the first major peak to be recaptured, and it opened the path for subsequent assaults in the Dras sector. With Tololing secured, the army shifted its focus to the adjacent peaks, including the formidable Tiger Hill. This iconic, cone-shaped peak was the highest feature in the area and provided the enemy with a commanding observation post over the highway and surrounding terrain. Retaking Tiger Hill was not just a military necessity, it had become a matter of national prestige. The battle for this peak was planned meticulously, involving a multi-pronged assault to deceive and overwhelm the defenders. After a night of intense battle, by the morning of July 4, Indian soldiers had secured the peak. Section 4. Heroes in the Thin Air. The victory in Kargil was forged by the incredible courage and selflessness of individual soldiers. Their stories became legends, inspiring a nation. Among the many heroes, Captain Vikram Batra of the 13th Jammu and Kashmir Rifles became a household name. Known for his charismatic leadership and his famous motto, "Ye dil mange more," this heart wants more. He led daring assaults to capture Point 5140. He later volunteered for the mission to recapture Point 4875. During a fierce firefight to rescue an injured comrade, he was mortally wounded. For his supreme valor, Captain Batra was posthumously awarded the Paramveer Chakra, India's highest military honor. Another recipient of the Paramveer Chakra was Lieutenant Manoj Kumar Pandey of the 1st Gorkha Rifles. His mission was to clear enemy positions at Kalubar Top in the Batalik sector. He led his platoon through a hail of bullets, charging ahead from bunker to bunker. Though grievously injured, he pressed on, single-handedly destroying enemy positions before finally succumbing to his wounds. His last words, as recorded in his personal diary, were prophetic. "If death strikes before I prove my blood, I swear I'll kill death." His sacrifice was instrumental in the capture of the feature and embodied the warrior spirit of the Indian Army. Section 5. Victory and Vigilance. Lessons from the Peaks. As Indian troops systematically reclaimed the peaks through June and early July, diplomatic pressure mounted on Pakistan. India's decision to not cross the LOC had earned it widespread international credibility. By mid-July, the withdrawal process began. Indian forces continued their advance, cautiously retaking vacated positions to clear any resistance. By July 26, 1999, the mission was declared a complete success. The Indian Army recaptured the last occupied peak. Operation Vijay was officially called off. July 26th is now Kargil Vijay Diwas, a national day of remembrance, a solemn tribute to the more than 500 soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice, and to the thousands more who were wounded, to honor their families, and to reaffirm the nation's gratitude. The soldiers' sacrifice keeps the tricolor flying high and the nation below safe and secure.